Hi there, I'm Kathleen Warshawski, and you are here with our Senior Care Spotlight. Today, our guest is Miss Lori Miller. She is the owner and administrator for Apple Care and Companion. Hello, Lori, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. So Lori, tell us a little bit about what Apple Care and Companion is doing to help keep their clients safe during the COVID pandemic that's going on here today.
Well, we have enhanced our infection control protocols just amazingly, I think. We have a program called Care Protect, and we're not only helping educate our clients on infection control, but also our care pros. We have a motto of a fresh mask in every house for every shift. So we have care pros, every shift they go into, they'll have a fresh mask. But even before they go into the shift, they have pre-screening protocols that they have to go through. So they clock in on their phone, on a HIPAA-compliant app on their phone, but they have to go through several screening questions about their own health or the risk of exposure, as well as they have to take their temperature and input it into the system before they can clock in. They also get a reminder. They have to check mark a box that says, the minute I walk into the house, I will wash my hands, to put it fresh in their mind. So once they go through all of that, they can clock in. They'll walk into the house, wash their hands, put on their mask, and start their shift. We also have new protocols where if someone's feeling sick or ill, we strongly urge them not to work. And we actually, starting this year, starting retroactively of 2020, started some paid leave. So people who have accrued hours will get some paid time off if they're sick, because we know how important it is, and we don't want that to be a hindrance. We also have strict protocols on when they can come back. So we are communicating maybe more than a lot of people would like, but we think at this time over communication is more important than under communication.
Excellent, I like that. And I know that y'all are currently accepting clients, correct? New clients? You're able
Absolutely.
to do that today?
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit more about kind of what the steps are in order to onboard a new client today.
Well, we have great technology, so we can do a lot of the paperwork and the consultation, the assessment virtually, whether it's a Zoom meeting, a Google Hangout, or even on the phone. But we do want to see people in person, but we can limit it to a very short time just to make sure the safety is there. But a lot of it can be done over email and on the phone. We think that's really important to limit our exposure. And we have a series of questions. We changed our assessment, and we actually have a series of questions that we ask our client about their COVID possibility, their exposure, if they've had a test, any symptoms. We actually are talking to our clients before every shift as well, checking their symptoms and exposure. So we've really ramped up a lot of our assessment also for the clients too.
So it sounds like you're making sure that the safety is there for your clients, but also for your staff. And so, I mean, that's just awesome. I really like that.
Thank you.
And I know that there are people who have loved ones in senior living communities who are contemplating whether or not they should keep them there or whether they should transition them temporarily back into their own home. And so tell us a little bit about that and kind of what you're seeing in that avenue.
Well, it's really interesting. It's scary right now. I think everyone sees it on the news. So many older adults in communities, senior living communities, have tested positive, and it's really scary and frightening. That being said, it's a very big decision to move your loved one home. And at first glance, it makes total sense. Let's move mom home. You know, their communal dining mostly has stopped, and a lot of people are eating in their rooms. The group activities have slowed down or stopped, and people are feeling socially isolated. But, and here I am, a home care agency, obviously wanting people to bring their loved one home, but it's not always right for everybody. And I think there's a lot of planning that has to go in and a lot of thought, and not to be emotional about it, I think the first thing that a family should think about is the physical space of where mom would be in your house. And is that space, is there privacy for both of you? Is it safe? Are there steps in the house that maybe you don't recognize anymore, but with a walker could be a problem? Are the doors to the bathroom maybe more narrow and it might be hard for a walker to get in and out? So I think a family member should walk their own house with that in mind and see if there's any challenges. They could be you can overcome some of those challenges, whether it's ramps or grab bars, temporary ideas or permanent ideas. But I think thinking about the physical space is really important. Also the care. What kind of care does your loved one have? You may not know what it is day to day. Do they need personal care? Do they need help with medications? Do they wander at night? Is there dementia involved? So I think really understanding the care needs is really important. And that probably is a phone call with, if it's assisted living or a social worker at a skilled facility or someone in the community, of what is actually going on. So you're going into this eyes wide open. I think that's really important.
Awesome, awesome. And I know it becomes even more complicated when their loved one has dementia.
Yes.
Kind of give us your thoughts on bringing someone home with dementia at this time.
Well, I think there's a lot of things to think about. One is it going to be more confusing or more difficult to move your loved one? They're set in their routine, and even though they can't see you, if they've been in the same place for a year or so, that might be more confusing removing them from what they know. So I think that's a consideration. Do they wander at night? And is your house set up for that security? And what would you do in case that would happen? So I think understanding the dementia and knowing, are they combative? And that's kind of hard, and they're more combative with you because you're their daughter. It's important to know. So I think of those things in mind, and I think talking to the community is really helpful because they know your loved one the best. And I think there's not a one size fits all. This is not a cookie cutter kind of idea. Everybody's different. I think if it is right for your family, it could be a wonderful thing. But if it could be wrong for your family, it could be an awful thing. So I think you really have to look at all aspects of it to really make a good decision.
And is there a different process for that if the community has positive COVID cases currently versus if they don't? How is that process different or the same?
Well, it's ever changing. I'll tell you something right now, and tomorrow may be a different thing. Right now, if there's any positive cases in a assisted living or a skilled facility, I believe it's the county or public health of some entity will come in and test everybody in the facility. Independent living, not necessarily, but you can still get a test. So I think it's really important for anyone who's thinking of leaving a facility, whether there's a positive case or no cases, to get a test before they go home or before they go wherever, and to think about possibly quarantining wherever they go to for the 14 days.
Okay.
For us, we need to know if they've had a test, when the test was, have they been quarantined? Some people are quarantining in the community where they are now. They've had the test, they're doing a really good job of quarantining, and then they can go home. It also depends in your own home, who else is in. Do you have a household of people? Are there children? Are there other people to think about? So I think that's important to know what your community, what their rules and regulations are.
That's a lot of information to absorb.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's more.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
One of the other big things I think people don't realize is the planning, the timing. Right now, if someone needed some durable medical equipment, or if they needed oxygen, or if they needed, a hospital bed, it could take longer things are just taking longer right now. So I think that's planning. You need your pieces in place. And I think it's just, there's so many things to think about. Some older adults in a skilled facility don't have a doctor outside of that facility. So if you move them home, they won't have access to that same doctor who's in the skilled facility. So that's a question to ask. And you may need to line up a doctor before you move your loved one home, even if it's teledoc services or whatever, but have a relationship with someone outside of that community. That's just a few of the things to think about.
Is there anything else that they should be thinking about?
Oh yes, there's a lot. There's a lot, but probably too much for right now. But I could certainly help someone if they had questions.
Excellent, excellent. And so if they are interested in talking with you more, how do they reach you?
Our phone number is 469-619-5474. And we also have a website, applecareandcompanion.com, and is spelled out. And we have a really good page, a COVID-19 page that has a lot of great information about what we're doing, as well as I have a lot of great dashboards on there. I have Dallas County, Collin County, City of Dallas, State of Texas. We have a lot of good information about interactive testing map. We have a blog, and I actually wrote a piece about what to do if you are interested in taking your loved one home. So we have a lot of information on there that they could look at.
Okay, well, great. Thank you so much for being on our show today. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I love what you're doing with all of these spotlights. They're so informative.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm Kathleen Warshawski with Seniors Blue Book. This is our Senior Care Spotlight with Lori Miller at Apple Care and Companion. Thanks, everyone.